Every tree begins with a seed, faith planted in the soil of the unknown. What you don't see are the roots forming beneath the surface, deep, steady, and unseen. This is how High Ridge began. A handful of people believing God could grow something greater than themselves.
When I think about High Ridge Church, I think about a number of things, but a couple of things that pop in my mind immediately is generosity. The generosity has been phenomenal. There's just an immediate surge to contribute both finances and people, to contribute resources. When I think about the time that we spent in the shopping center transitioning to be able to get here, just to break ground, it just fills my heart with joy. Just the goodness and the graciousness of God just overwhelms me. And all that has happened.
But I remember when Pastor Jeff first cast the vision for High Ridge, a church high on the hill, and everyone thinking, that's crazy. Like, that's not going to happen. We're a small church here in the shopping center. How could we ever get out of this? And I just remember that vision being so clear and so from the Lord that He provided every step of the way. And I remember all of the development. As soon as we broke ground here on the hill, I'm this little kid running around and not really thinking of how incredible this really is, running in this building when the cement walls were just put up and there's dirt and mud and everything in here. And it was incredible to see it come together piece by piece.
From the very beginning, from the very first Sunday, my life was there, my family was there, my future was there. It's such an honor to be a part of the legacy, really, of High Ridge. I remember the very first time we walked in on that very first Sunday and all the people I had never seen before, announcing ourselves to the community and for the community to show up and to be really proud of what we had built there was a big deal.
As I look back at when I first came to be part of High Ridge Church in Fort Worth, it was amazing. I just got out of Bible school, really looking at, a path on where I would go in ministry, and came on as a youth pastor. And then from there, went to different positions within the church, was mentored, of course, by Pastor Jeff and Pastor Curtis and a lot of the amazing leaders that we've had.
I started attending High Ridge Church in Fort Worth in 2011 after I met my bride. It completely changed my life. I was lost, alone, and I found community and discipleship. In 2012, Pastor Jeff started to give a vision of future High Ridge churches and sons, and I remember in 2012 the Lord told me that I was going to be one of those sons and that eventually I was going to be a pastor of High Ridge Church.
I've always been excited by the High Ridge family of churches. I was in the room in 2012 when PJ shared the dreams, and that's what I signed up for. I love the idea of the High Ridge family of churches because it's not a network, it's a brotherhood, it's relational. What we care about is healthy pastors and healthy churches.
As the roots deepened, the vision expanded, and new branches began to take form.
In 2015, the Lord began to put a call upon my life for doing more than just being a part of the High Ridge right there in Fort Worth. Something began to be birthed in my spirit to perhaps have my own church. It was really important to me to not just have a church, to not just be a senior pastor, but to be a part of the High Ridge family. In 2015, the Lord gave me a dream, and we said yes to the Lord. And we took the High Ridge name, and we took it to East Texas. There's a group of people there that were just wanting to be led. And my God, the miracles that have happened since then, it's just been ridiculous. One thing after the other, from a new building to getting us through the pandemic, there's just been so many wonderful things that have happened, healing, supernatural things, prophetic words. We've seen God provide in crazy ways. Financially, the Lord has just exploded. Our numbers have just exploded. There was about 120 people that we started with at the beginning, and we hit, I think, 1,390 this past year. Huge just increase of the Lord just supernaturally blessing this High Ridge Church in Longview, Texas.
My relationship with High Ridge Church in Fort Worth started in 2017. We were a church plant here in Graham. Got to a point after a few years we needed a little help. And so when we asked for a couple of weeks of speakers and they send out 6 months worth of speakers, then the culture gradually came to us. We went from a standpoint of being able to kind of maintain to actually start taking ground. When we joined the High Ridge family, we were probably 82 strong in attendance, and within 2 years, we were crowding right at 600. So we had a tremendous expansion of growth. We had many, many people come to know Christ, and we were able to celebrate through several hundred baptisms. And all these were kingdom accomplishments, really with eternal impacts that we're able to share with our Fort Worth family that came alongside us and joined us.
It's just so surreal that this was the Lord's plan for me. I was here in 2018, moved my family up here to start this as a campus. We were here for 3 years, and then the Lord began to speak and reveal that He wanted me to come back to Fort Worth to launch Parker County. And so, leaving Graham was one of the hardest decisions my wife and I ever made. But then the Lord in 2024 began to reveal to me that it's getting close to time for me to do what He's called me to do, which is to be a lead pastor. I think God has a regional vision for us. I think we have the potential to reach a lot of these smaller towns around Graham and to reach a lot of people, to give them access to this type of church. So when I think about my excitement about the family of churches, I'm excited about what it is and the potential of what it can become. We can, not only as lead pastors, build a local church that impacts our communities, we can be a part of a spiritual family that impacts multiple states and crosses state lines, and who knows where it could go from there.
January of 2016, I moved me and my bride here to Mineral Wells, Texas to be a part of a church and to take over their youth ministry, and it was doing really well. And then the church started to go through some troubles, and over the next couple of years, our church was not doing well. And in 2019, we had a choice of either going out on our own or being adopted by a church, and immediately my mind went to High Ridge, and I was like, I know Pastor Jeff's heart to help churches, and by November of 2019, we're High Ridge Church, and it was crazy because 4 months later, the pandemic happens, and if we're not High Ridge Church, we close the doors. And since that time, the Lord has done so much here, and none of that is possible without the generosity of High Ridge Fort Worth, because I would have never thought when I was leaving High Ridge Fort Worth to come out here to a different church that I'd be sitting here in front of you 9.5 years later, lead pastor of High Ridge Church, Mineral Wells. It's surreal, it's crazy.
I'll never forget the time where when we first came here, we have, all the adrenaline, all the excitement of planting a new church. But I looked out at my front yard and I asked the Lord, I said, how are we gonna start a church from nothing? And I'll never forget it. Very clearly, he says, well, you're not gonna build it, I'm gonna build it. I realized that I didn't have to have enough faith to finish, but just enough faith to start. So at that point, it was a journey for us. And from there, it came to, the Lord started bringing people. And so we started a launch team and people that we had never met who was so excited to be part of this vision. So now we're about 3.5 years in, and we still have people bought in. And not only the people who started with us, but every Sunday feels like Christmas. Meaning that there are needs that we have and that we're believing for, and you never know who's gonna walk through those doors. We've had people come in who had never stepped into a church in their life, and they'll walk in this place and say, I feel something different. I have no idea what it is, but there's something different here. And what I'm excited about is that when I look at the church, I look at what was started in Fort Worth with Pastor Jeff and Pastor Don, and to say that that the same vision there, the Lord's able to extend that vision or expand that vision here at High Ridge Church. The vision works. It works every time.
I've been a part of High Ridge for 6 years. I started out at the Mineral Wells campus, and actually I was a part of a church that High Ridge came in and adopted us from that church. And at the time, I was a creative pastor there. So God knew exactly what He was doing at that time to make us a part of the spiritual family. So when we had our first service here for our grand opening in August of 2024, this place was packed. We had over 1,400 people, a lot of new faces and families, a lot of familiar faces as well. But it was just an indicator to us at that time
it was evidence that God is going to continue to do more here in Parker County. We've seen incredible things happen in our student ministry by growing by 450% and seeing families affected and families start coming to church because their youth came to church here first. We've done incredible things through the community as well, just partnering with places like Center of Hope to be able to give out 75 Thanksgiving baskets to families in need in our community. I can't help but think about Fort Worth campus and what they've meant to High Ridge as a whole, and to be able to plant Parker County. This is for people that they don't know and that they might not ever meet, but they're willing to say yes.
From California to Texas, from big cities to small towns, these branches grew, each rooted in the same vision of strengthening people for life. Every location tells its own story of God's faithfulness, but together they form one tree.
God helped us, and then He gave us a huge vision, a vision that's literally a worldwide vision, to strengthen churches and to strengthen children, to help churches revive and start over and to start new churches.
We've got more churches to plant. We've got bigger vision, and the future looks really, really good.
I believe that High Ridge's biggest anointing is that it brings health. Health to a city, health to a church body. At the individual level with spirit, soul, body, it's in the very fabric of who we are.
The Lord had called us to do this. And so when the Lord brought opportunities for us to expand the way that we have, it's been truly incredible to see leaders raise up in the house, to be sent off to start new campuses, to adopt campuses, to plant different churches. And I believe that we've gone through a lot, we've done a lot, but this is really just the beginning.
Even as our reach expands, our roots call to us again. Every story leads back to the hill where faith first took root. And it's time to strengthen those roots for what comes next.
And I get excited about the future of, what the potential of that could be. Can we send out more lead pastors in the future that have a relationship, that has a band of brothers behind them, supporting them, that's got their back and checking on their health and making sure they're becoming all that God's called them to be.
To think it all started right there on the hill in Fort Worth. I never would have dreamed that we would be in this spot now, but the Lord had a plan. And I don't believe that the Lord is done with High Ridge Fort Worth. He's not done with Parker County. He's not done with what's happening at Mineral Wells. He's not done with Graham. He's not done with Longview. He's not done with what's happening out in California with Pastor Levi. I think the best is still yet to come.
And I just believe that the Lord's given us an ability to come into a region and to show what a healthy relationship with Jesus looks like. And I'm so excited to see where God takes us in the future.
I can see High Ridge Church being a place where people can come in and it's safe and they can learn and grow how to be a leader and be launched out to expand the vision of High Ridge.
I don't even know that I would be a part of High Ridge Church if they didn't step in and say yes. And now at this point in time, we have the opportunity to build some life back into Fort Worth because they have been so generous to the rest of High Ridge.
We have support now from people that were strangers before, because it all started with their generosity and their caring for a church that's 75 miles west of them that they didn't know, but they chose to love anyway.
I see people's lives being changed as they encounter Jesus, as households say yes to Jesus and the entire household getting baptized. Makes me so proud that we have such a generous church. We have such a heart to facilitate what the Lord is doing. I see High Ridge being a part of sending out more pastors and more teams and helping revitalize many churches.
We now come to a time where it's inevitable that the roots of the tree of High Ridge need to be watered. And I'm speaking about the Fort Worth campus. All the generosity that's poured out of this campus, churches around the world, supporting dozens of churches, ministries, so many wonderful things that we've been able to do. But now God's showing us that we need to get ready for the growth that is coming right here around the Fort Worth campus. We need more space for kids. God is sending us families with young children families that are going to see children be saved, baptized, walk in the fullness of the Spirit, live an abundant life, families that are going to have destiny on them to make a difference here and around the world. I can see us expanding toward the driveway, making it so that kids aren't packed into a room, so that we can continue to add children. There's a good opportunity that we would take our outdoor playground and make it an indoor playground.
Can you imagine after service having a space where your kids can go and play and hang out and you're not dying in 110-degree weather? It's not at the whim of the elements. You know, it doesn't matter if it's raining, it doesn't matter if it's snowing or whatever. They can come and this can be a community place for believers to gather and like I said, build community. That would be amazing.
I can see right here on High Ridge Hill a worship center that would seat 1,200 people. We're all about people. We want to see the lives of people changed. And I'm excited to tell you that we're working toward it, have a vision for it. I can see it with the eyes of faith. And I'm just believing that someday soon we'll be able to make a statement. We love God. We love you. We're going to make room for you. Come and join us. Let's strengthen people for life.
When you give to Heart for the House, you're part of a growing legacy, planting hope for vulnerable kids, sowing strength into marriages, and cultivating faith in the next generation, building on the momentum at both Parker County and Fort Worth, and breaking new ground for all that is still to come.